direct the mic to Aditi and let Aditi connect you to the students and see what the questions they have for you. Right? Thanks, sir.
Thank you so much, Vivek. So without wasting time, because we have some lovely questions that our students have asked, um, I'll take a first question from Jeenal Parmar. She's here with us, but she doesn't want to be on camera, so I'm asking on her behalf. She says that I am a working professional and not able to balance time for my preparation, practice and mocks. And my aim is to get into TIS, but I'm quite demotivated because of the lack of practice and preparation. So, how can I overcome this?
I think the whole thing is about, don't start thinking that way. First is change your mental frame from not being able to do this to how do I find time to do this? And because you have to. Yeah, you have to. I'm saying you have to change your mind frame, figure out a way to take your mind into a different space and look at it positively. Right now, I think you're looking at it slightly negative.
Right. Avni Raghuvanshi, you want to go next and pose your question to sir?
Yes, ma'am, sure. Hello, sir. It was a great talk show, I have to say. And sir, about that thing, which you said, romanticism of entrepreneurship, it kind of trigged me too much. So, sir, about that, with all the startup buzz going on these days, what I think the major mistakes people do right now is into investing and at the right time or at the wrong time of investing. So, as you have been into advertising and marketing as well, what would you suggest would be the right time to boost up a startup sales when it comes to advertising? When is the right time to invest into it?
So I see a lot of people making mistakes. I think it's a great question actually, Avni. So a lot of people, like for example, just a few days back, one of my ex-colleagues was chatting with me. He's from Hyderabad. So so he was going headlong because he thinks in his own heart that something is the product that he's trying to do is much in demand in the market. And my advice to him was don't go headlong, rather test market it in two types of cities, one a metro city and one a tier 1 city, and see for 3 months how it goes and then only start pumping in money. So very similar to what you are talking about. Because marketing is not cheap, it is quite expensive depending on what kind of markets you're trying to handle. And it can sometimes become, like for example, media product distribution is many a times the biggest cost, apart from one or two categories. So I'm just saying, decide on whether there's appetite, what is your market that you can serve, and then look at spending those dollars. It is an expensive proposition, so be careful.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Avni.
Partho, if I can add, how do you calculate ROI for these guys? They are sitting in limited budgets. So they do they look at only from the sales ROI, or they have the freedom to execute some branding campaigns also?
See, both are important, right? I mean, there are multiple measures. So sales ROI is only one of them. The whole awareness measures that happens, the brand health studies that happen. So any big brand does it. So because many a times you advertise mainly to keep the salience of the brand high. It may not be transactional. You saw what happened during this whole COVID period, right? I mean, most brands rather went off the advertising market per se. They stopped their advertising because sales was not happening. Whereas one brand, I'm just giving you one example, is Amul, which kept advertising. Okay, I mean, it didn't reduce its advertising spends at all. So, and these are typical cases when resurgence happens. Any brand which has high brand salience always it helps them. So there are 3-4 very standard measures to answer your question: the brand awareness, the brand health studies, and all that, which one keeps on doing to see whether things are working.
Right. So taking it from there, I am combining two questions here. So one is from Deep Ravel. He asks that what will be the future of media and advertising sector due to automation in coming years and also the huge digital transformation, and how will it affect future jobs and roles of MBAs? That is his question, and I would want to combine it with Prateek Agarwal's question. Very interesting. He says that will the loss of human touch and feel as a result of digitization of businesses, organizations, and educational systems become the new norm?
Interesting, very, very interesting. Okay, so let me, I mean, it's a good point. Love to talk about it as much time that you can. So, see what is getting affected and what has already got affected and will get affected more is mainly the distribution. See, the so-called automation and digitization and all that are doing two things. One is disintermediation and distribution. It still doesn't change the fact that you have to market your product, you have to sell your product. Okay, that still requires your MBAs to do it. It doesn't change the fact that a media product is ultimately a creative product. That cannot be digitized. Creativity cannot be digitized. Creativity cannot be automated. So that is where the human touch will always remain. To understand how the behaviors of for example, your age group's behavior versus my age group's behavior, and what product suits where, that requires a human touch, that requires a human application. Data science, automated models will give you what people are wanting, but how do you deliver that? That still remains. So yes, some parts of it will get affected, but that will give you much better inputs, more for input from an input point of view to show your creativity. So creativity cannot be automated.
That's an amazing point. Ritik, you want to go next on camera and pose your question?
Since Sir has been CEO for more than a decade, so this would be, he would be the appropriate person to answer this. Sir, is it true that only a person who is working in a sales or marketing function becomes a CEO? Suppose a finance guy may become a CFO, but he may never become a CEO in a product-based company. So, like, how true is it?
No, I don't think so. I don't think there is any bias in the industry towards that. It all depends. I mean, you have to excel in what you do and get a larger perspective. I mean, if you remain a CFO and think only finance, then you have a problem. But if you can think for the organization, you are definitely in for that CEO role.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ritik. Partho, I think I'll take one last question, which is from Neha Tripathi. She says that due to COVID-19, we see majority of advertisements taking place by home, and they are made into videos from their homes, which is great in cutting down the cost. But what do you think? Will this bring a new evolution in branding and advertisement after COVID-19? And what are your major takeaways from the current form of advertising because of the pandemic?
Yeah, so it all depends. Some ads can be is fine to do from home kind of productions, okay, and yes, it reduces cost, which is great news for any brand because everybody is concerned about costs at this point of time. But there are certain, for example, I'm just saying, if you have to shoot a car ad showing a beautiful life and the whole family in it and all that, you can't do it from home, right? I mean, you would like to, you have to go outdoors to do it. So some things may be possible, the home kind of setting and a shoot, very low cost shoots, but not all. So there will be a good mix. I think what will come out of this whole COVID situation is good amount of rationalization of costs, and this is not just about shooting ads, starting from your how many people go to office every day and stuff like that, the real estate part of it, to all of this. So there will be a good rebalancing, if I may say so, that will happen post this. I think people will learn a lot of extra expenditures that they were doing, and also, but some things will remain the same. I don't think it will change too much.
Yes, so I'll take a question from Lalita Prasunna. You did cover it a bit, when you guys were talking, but she says that, Mr. Partho's profile is nothing but a perfect epitome of excellence. So, what are your thoughts on, or rather, the turning point that decided that you want to switch from mechanical engineering to management?
To be honest, it's a pure practical thing. As I said somewhere, that I realized at some point that engineering jobs don't pay, and I had too many dreams to fulfill, and also beyond the point, they don't give you too much of challenge, and as in, of course, they do give challenges in their own way, but not that I wanted. I wanted a larger perspective thing. So obviously that made me switch, and I realized the only way to do that is go through an MBA and going on.
Right, right, right. So just plugging in one more question here, because a lot of students had asked that. It's a common question. So there's one that I've noted. It's from Sonam. She says, is there anything like the right time to do an MBA?
No, like for example, I did it after 3 years of passing out engineering. So in fact, I would say, and though it may not be a very popular or most people may not say so, but I would say 1 or 2 years of experience and then doing an MBA is good because it gives you what one faces in a real job, and that perspective helps. But I know that mostly people do straight out of college, I mean straight out of graduation. But I think I personally would think a couple of years of experience is good. Like for example, I think even now, if I'm not mistaken, IMD used to give preference for working people at one time. I don't know what it is now.
Maybe Vivek sir, if you could add your views there and then take it from there too.
I don't think so. There's any perfect time to do MBA. Honestly, I have recommended students to do MBA at 40, 42 also. See, everybody's career takes a different trajectory. What comes in your life at that point of time and how you are growing as an individual paves the way. So I think what Partho essentially also is saying that, you have to grow as an individual and as a career. So, what is it you hand at that point of time and where is it taking you versus, is this the right time to take that jump and go further? So what's in your hand is always important. What is happening around you is always important, because so maybe if you went back 5 years back into a B school, you would have been suddenly talking of digital marketing and social media marketing. Now those things are outdated, right? Today you will going in, you will be talking about a completely different approach, which Partho just referred to us when he said that, the targeting has become so like Netflix and stuff. So it evolves. So where you are at that point of time in your career, what have you grown? So, and it can all, yeah, it's required, I think, at some point of time people go for 2 MBAs, okay, but and might be required also for some people because as management also the subject changes over a period of time. So because as Partho said, because what the essential would be same, the decision making case study, the thought process, how to evaluate a business, build businesses, functions will be changed. Same, but across the modules will be different. If I go and see my MBA books, it will be very different than what we read, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
So I'm getting a lot of messages in my chat here saying, please thank sir on our behalf for the lovely conversation. So yes, I just did.
Absolutely a pleasure. Beautiful questions. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Vivek sir, any final note of?
No, I will just, two things I'll do. One is I will take up, just round up my lessons again, because I had to learn a few more lessons in the questions. And two is I like Partho to give a final message to students. How and should they build their career. Okay. And just before that, my final question to Partho. Partho, do you consider you are successful? And how do you define success?
No, I mean, success is a journey. There is no, I would think it's a cliched thing, but still, uh, it doesn't, I mean, you don't reach a milestone and say that I'm successful. I mean, it doesn't work like that. I mean, there are many more things to be done. So There's no finality to it, to be honest. Yeah, it's a perspective again. So yeah.
One final message to students before I sum it up, because every
Again,
point you are making, I'm adding to the list.
so my big thing, which I don't think I spoke enough of, but I did mention again, guys. I mean, especially for us to where we stand today in India. I mean, it may not have been 20 years back or 30 years back. Think big, think absolutely global. Whatever you think of, think global, because world should be our marketplace, not just India. I think that perspective should change, even in these schools, even schools, so to speak. I think that's the perspective that should change in this education system now. So again, think big, and the next one is learn to live happy, and be with people. I think people are important to make friends, especially at the stage that you are. Every type of person is important in your life. Please don't discount anyone saying that he's not up there or he's not there. Every person is important in your life, in different forms and different points of time. So make more friends and think big. That's it.
Right. Got it. So thanks, Partho. Wonderful conversation, and I think tremendous value, in just, these 45 minutes of 1 hour, you packed in. I'll just summarize it once again and put my learnings in perspective. Number one, think big, dream big, think global. Okay. Number two would be empathy, having empathy, emotional quotient with people around you, not being judgmental, that's a key to build teams and be successful. Decision making is the key, because a lot of things go in decision making, and that differentiates maybe the CEO, a winner CEO, knowing the future. So maybe, the idea tracking where things are going or where the technology is going, or maybe seeing things from a futuristic perspective rather than, what has happened in past. Don't be scared to make mistakes. Continuous learning, life, take it as a journey, so don't be so persistent, but, it's a journey, adapt. And one thing which very clearly came out from you is that, change is permanent, so, things are changing. So, be ready to adapt and flexible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Partho. I think that sums a wonderful learning experience. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so much for joining once again on behalf of our entire team. Thank you so much, students, for joining in. And like we say, dream, endeavor, and evolve. Thank you so much, Partho sir. Thank you so much, Vivek sir.
Right. Thank you. Thanks.